from my perspective, maybe let's back up a little bit and let's talk about science as a public good. So the outcomes of science are basically new tokens of knowledge, right? So, and knowledge is a classic example for economists of a public good, right? So from an economic perspective, public good is defined as something that is non-rival in usage and non-excludable, right? So non-rival means that if I have access to a piece of information, let's say, calculus or the theory of relativity, it doesn't stop anybody else from using it. It doesn't reduce your value of it. And non-excludable means that nobody can really stop me from using it. Nobody can stop you either. Now, the problem with public goods is that private markets are typically failing to provide them, right? So one of the reasons for that is basically that we have a free riders problem because we cannot really exclude people who are not paying for the provision of these services from using them. Basically, everybody ends up waiting for somebody else to carry the costs, right? So the result is that private markets typically under-provide public goods, and there's all different other sorts of market failures that can happen. And one of the ways how this problem can be solved is by sort of artificially turning them into club goods, right? So one of the things you can do is you can artificially have access restrictions, right? So an example would be pay TV or toll roads. And interestingly, this is what scientific publishers are doing, right? So they basically take the knowledge, the tokens of knowledge that have been produced by the scientific community, and they take them and they put them behind paywalls, right? So therefore, they restrict access. The perverse thing here is that the publishers that are doing that, they're actually not contributing at all to the provision of the public good, right? So they're not financing the scientists. If anything, they're just taking the content that they have been producing and they put them on their websites without paying the scientists for the work that they've been doing or for the evaluation services that they've been providing in terms of peer review and so on and so forth, right? And the result is that the public, which has actually paid for the research through their taxpayers' money, doesn't have access to that knowledge anymore. Right? And I think that's one of many ways how we actually have a real problem in science at the moment. And DeSci is, of course, it's all about new ways of financing science, publishing science, doing science in a new way using the Web3 technologies that are now available, which also allow us to create new business models and new incentives. And there is a lot of ways how we can actually improve that situation pretty dramatically.